Welcome to the Darren Williams Perspective, and I'm your host, Darren Williams. Thank you for joining me. Today's discussion is going to be a little bit more on the coronavirus, or I would like to say the aftermath of the coronavirus, the crazy madness that has been going on and that will probably continue to go on, but that is not substantiated with any proper data, information that could really lead to a clear understanding as to why we had gone to these extremes. This basically involves a number of people. The American people, for one, two doctors that have projected numbers, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Deborah Burke, that have been running this whole show in reference to the coronavirus and the so-called doomsday, impending doom that America was going to face 3 weeks ago, talking about how 2.2 million people were going to die. And now today, being the 9th of April, they've brought it all the way down to about 60,000 people that could possibly die. And that number is still seem to be high. But they all contributed to, mitigating circumstances of social distancing, which is not true. Social distancing could not bring numbers down far beyond 95%, from 2.2 million all the way down to 61,000. But before I jump too far into this and too quickly, I'm very disturbed. I'm extremely disturbed. A lot of this stuff is going under the nose of a lot of Americans and not realizing that what's going on is that our freedom has been taken away from us. For the past 3 to almost going on 4 weeks, our freedom has been taken away from us, all based off of projections, not empirical data, not historical data, all based off of future projections, which are basically computer models. Information being put into a computer model and then spit out some idea or some inference, and then we basically make the decision of our life based on that information. And this information is coming from people that we don't even elect. Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birch are not elected officials. They're so-called health experts, but if you really want to consider it, they're quack scientists. They don't base their information off of what has happened in the past. All they're doing is just punching in numbers. And what they have done is they've crippled America. What has happened for the past 3.5 years of President Trump, moving the economy forward, making America the number one producer and provider throughout the world, all that has been eliminated in 3 weeks based off of projected numbers by two individuals. And this is how crazy this is. Now you have people that are scared to death walking around with masks over their faces and with hand condoms, believing that they're going to catch some virus and they're going to die. People are scared to death. And so I fault this a lot on these two particular so-called scientists, so-called doctors, but also I fault it on the American people. We are a nation that has fought and been victorious in many aspects. We're looking at the American Revolution, the Civil War. We're looking at World War I and World War II. How we fought those battles, how we were warriors, how we did not have fragile spirits. You look at the Vietnam War, the Korean War. You look at how we defeated Japan and how we defeated Germany. All these things that we have done spectacularly. You look at the Great Depression, when the stock market crashed. Even in those bleak times, we came out of it. But right now, what we're looking at is a virus, nothing more than the flu. And I'm not trying to minimize those who have caught the coronavirus. No, it's very important that these people be taken care of. But to shut down a whole country based off of projected numbers. We've never shut the country down when AIDS came around, when HIV came around. We never shut the country down when we had the swine flu back in 2009. And that was about 17,000 people that died. And about maybe 30 million upward of people that were infected, 300 people that were hospitalized. I spoke about this in the last video. We never shut the country down. We never went this far in denying people their rights to assemble. Here we are making decisions based off of projected numbers. based off of projected numbers that can be greatly swayed by mitigating circumstances. Prime example, the British doctor who first came out with it and said there's going to be 500,000 people in England that were going to die. And then when he put in social distancing, it swayed down to about 20,000 people. That's a huge difference. I mean, that's more than 90% of a difference. Then that means that the model is completely wrong. If you can sway 90% to the left or to the right, that means your numbers are totally wrong and the models are totally wrong. But people still believed in it. Why? Because so-called experts. These people aren't experts. These people are not experts. They're just theoreticians that project out numbers. They don't even deal in reality. But what they've done is that their fantasies have been projected on reality. And so we have 16 million people that are unemployed. It is probably even more than that. 16 million people in America within less than a month have become unemployed, have filed unemployment. It's sad, it's pathetic. And the American people fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. We're not raising a well-informed society. As FDR said, the bulwark to keep our government going is a well-informed society that can control and maintain the government and their desire to take over. When you don't have a well-informed society, the government is going to take over. And this is a prime example. And I'm taking Donald Trump out of the equation. President Trump is not responsible for this. I mean, he's not a scientist. He's not a doctor. So he was trusting in these people. And these people were very much liberals, very much progressives, who sought to take over the country, who sought to bring down the country. Even Dr. Burke said that what we're trying to do is that we're putting people who, even though they die of a heart attack or of high blood pressure or of a stroke, if they have the coronavirus, we're going to label them as dying of the coronavirus. It's completely wrong. But we've gone along with it. I believe these numbers of people dying from so-called the coronavirus, many of them didn't even die of the coronavirus. They died of other circumstances, high blood pressure, a heart attack, maybe a stroke. But because they want the numbers to fit their narrative, they lie. They're inflating the numbers. And Americans are falling for it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the last. This will be tried again, whether it's the coronavirus or the coronavirus or the whatever virus it is, the Chinese virus or the American virus, whatever it is. They're going to try it again. They're going to continue to try it, and they're going to continue to oppress and try to take away our rights and our liberties. And if we're not informed, if we're not well knowledgeable of what's going on, of what the media is trying to tell us, then we're going to fall for it. Too many people, as I said in my previous video, too many people are accepting of what these so-called experts say, of what governors say, of what officials say, and these people don't know anything. Prime example, Governor Hogan of my state, Maryland, said that actually this week was going to be like, Maryland was going to get like New York, which is totally impossible. And now they're revising the numbers, they're bringing them down. So he looks like a fool now. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He said, oh, we're going to listen to the smart people. Well, the smart people are Fauci and Birch, who don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. And Birch even said that, it's amazing how we've been able to control people just by scaring them. Basically, that's what she said in a news conference. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so outrageous. It's inexplainable. But anyways, I think what has really happened, and California is a prime example. California has over 40 million people. 40 million people. And the cases of deaths are less than 1,000. They should be ground zero. They should have more deaths than what New York has. And I'll explain New York and why I think New York has so many deaths. But anyways, they should have more deaths. But what I had mentioned earlier in my previous video was herd immunity. Basically, having people around, not isolating them, not doing social distance, but having people around, and they developed antibodies for it. And so probably the coronavirus was there already in October, maybe September, October, November of last year. And yet the people got sick and, badly ill, and some of them went to the hospital and maybe a few died, but they chalked it up as a virus and they became immune to it. But what we did is that we believed, well, social distancing and isolation and wearing gloves and wearing masks, which are actually worse than not wearing them, would help. And of course, the doomsayers like Fauci and Birch are now saying, well, the social distancing that has helped curve. It couldn't have curbed it by 90+%. It's impossible within 3 weeks. It's impossible. But I think the reason for these anomalies, like I said, with New York, is New York has a extremely dense population. They have a homeless population of almost 100,000 people. I also believe that New York is inflating the numbers. President Trump pointed out that they weren't going to need a lot of ventilators that Cuomo was claiming that they needed. That's proved to be very true. They didn't need all those ventilators. So a lot of these cases, I do believe, are people that are just getting the common flu. But my point is this, and I go back to this thing, they're going to try this again. And it might not be the coronavirus they'll try it. They'll try it some other way. This is all about taking rights away from the American citizens. And not only that, I do believe that this has a lot to do with the election. I think this has a lot to do with the progressives wanting to get rid of Trump, and they will do anything by any means to get rid of Trump. If they have to kill their mother and send her COD, they will do it. They will do it. And the American people, we have to wake up and see this. When the Russian collusion thing fell apart, they went to impeachment. And when the impeachment fell apart, what did they go to? This coronavirus to try to break the economy. This has basically broken the economy. This has. Now we can overcome this. I do believe that. But even Fauci and Burke are saying, no, you need to wait until we tell you when people can go back to work. They're still trying to hold out. They're claiming that 18 months needs to go by before we can go back to work, before we can go back to normal. And they're not even thinking about going back to normal. They're saying, oh, well, there will never be any normality of what we knew back in 3 or a month ago. These people desire to take control. They really do. And we as Americans need to wake up and realize this. And Trump is the only one that is fighting and beating this back. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of support, particularly in this matter. He had a bunch of liberals. He had a bunch of hacks. Liberal Clinton, Obama hacks. Fauci and Birch are. And he had to trust in them. And unfortunately, they proved to be imbeciles. And then you had these governors, Cuomo, Hogan, imbeciles, complete imbeciles, saying that it's going to be the worst coming up in Easter. When actually the numbers, like I said again, are being reduced. So I cannot employ people enough to say, you got to realize what's going on. These people do not have the best interests of the American. They don't. They want to take over. They want to control. They want to rob you of your rights and your liberties and your prosperity. They do. Even Bill Gates, even he said that the economy should be suspended. Everything should be suspended indefinitely until we get a virus. We may never get a vaccine for this. We may never get a vaccine for this. But the point is that the body is strong enough to build up antibodies for this. And like I said, it is herd immunity. When you're around people who have been immunized, the possibility of the virus continuing is very unlikely. I can't express any more than to say that we need, as Americans, to wake up and wake up very soon. These people seek to destroy, to take over and to destroy. And this is a prime example. This is a perfect example of what communism looks like and how your rights and your liberties and your avenue of prosperity is easily taken away by people that you don't even elect. By people who are really not even that smart, that project numbers, futuristic numbers, that can be easily changed, just like climate change. This is actually nothing more than climate change. Projected numbers that can sway left and right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to wake up. It really is. Thank you. I appreciate you listening, and if you like what I'm saying, if you want to hear more, please subscribe to the Darren Williams Perspective. And I'm your host, Darren Williams.